Hey, what's good, everybody? What's good? Okay, we are connecting. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, good, 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 good. What's good, y'all? We're gonna start to show up probably in about maybe 90 seconds. We're gonna start to show up officially here. Okay, just gonna do some last minute stuff. Hey, what did you guys think about tonight's WWE draft? I mean, hopefully by now most of you guys had saw everything began on Smackdown, but if you didn't, you got a nice recap if you had watched Raw tonight. So I think the way that they had set things up tonight, way they went about recapping everything from night one, I thought that was pretty good and everything. So kind of gave people a nice amount of context and everything going into night two. But did it kind of feel a little lackluster? I think that's the real question we need to be saying to ourselves, because normally, I mean, to each its own, but for me, normally, I look forward every single year to the WWE draft. And I got to say, this was probably one of the first times that I can recall in recent years, at least, where when it came to the draft, I gotta say, now that it's pretty much over and done with, it just felt very lackluster. That could just be me. It could just be me. I would have to rely on you guys, but I think that's a really good, fair question to ask you guys, definitely those in the wrestling community and everything, which is, was this one of the most lackluster WWE drafts that as collectively as fans that we've experienced? I think that's a very fair question to be asking. I do have a poll that's up right now. I'm going to keep it a little bit simple tonight. I'm just going to have one poll be available for Twitter at the RCWR show. So for those of you that got Twitter, check that out. And the reason why we're doing a little bit of a delay and starting the show promptly is because earlier today, by now you guys know exactly what the hell was going on. But Facebook, man, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, it's a bad day for you, because not only were you having the problems there with freaking Facebook, but Facebook stock had went down, and as a result of that, his overall wealth went down in the process. He went down a couple of billion. I think he lost almost $10 billion. And so now he's dropped to, I think, rank 5 or some shit like that as far as richest people in America or whatever. So it's pretty funny. I think Elon Musk is number 1. I believe Jeff Bezos is coming in at number 2. Bill Gates is somewhere around number 4, if I remember it right. So yeah, that's exactly what's going on with that one. So, but yeah, Facebook was down earlier today. It affected everything: Instagram, Messenger. Now, for those of you that don't use any of those platforms, you guys are good. You guys were like, right? But man, there was a lot of people that were hurting. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I was definitely faking for the Facebook earlier today. I was kicking back, enjoying my day off, catching up on some schoolwork and some other stuff. And the next thing I know, I get on Facebook trying to see what's going on and everything, and the damn thing's not even loading up. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm thinking maybe it was just me. Maybe it was time for me to update the app or whatever. But nah, man, I freaking saw, because like normally if I think something weird is kind of going on, I'll just jump on another social media platform, see what's going on. So number 2 for me was Twitter, but I spend most of my time on Facebook, honestly. So I spend most of my time on Facebook. I usually interact with my friends, close friends, family on Facebook and everything. But when I saw that it was down, it was like, oh, snap, what's going on here? So saw Twitter, what was going on, and that pretty much was, oh, okay, so this is a widespread issue. Okay, well, ouch, that's not really cool. So it took several hours, and I know for wifey, she utilizes the heck out of Facebook, and I think Facebook is also behind WhatsApp, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember Wifey was even telling me that apparently WhatsApp was being affected by this as well. So if that's the case, that WhatsApp is also, Facebook is behind that as well. I mean, it was just a nice big old domino effect of what had went down earlier, right down to the point when I was setting up the stream just a couple of minutes ago. Apparently, I got a notification in the back end letting me know that there is still a Facebook API issue, and that if you're trying to stream your shows through Facebook and all of that, that there's some other stuff that you're going to have to do to try to see if you can connect to Facebook and all that. So there's still trickling effects even as we speak right now. So hopefully all of that will be resolved. Yeah, I'd say normally give it about like a day or so, and then this should be. But it was nice seeing people just flock around trying to figure out, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Facebook is down. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then even for a hot little bit, at least for about roughly 45 minutes to an hour, even Twitter was experiencing some issues as well. So kind of a weird, crazy, it just made you really take a step back depending on your age and really appreciate how far along we've come with social media. Because when I was growing up, it was all about the messaging boards. Yeah, remember those? Shout out if you remember those. It was all about the messaging boards. It was all about the AOL and the Yahoo groups and the constant freaking questions in those groups. ASL, right? Like ASL, 23, male, Texas. Is like, it was so funny. Like ASL and all that code language that was going on back then. MySpace, you're also reminded of MySpace. God, when MySpace came around, I remember when MySpace came around, all of us were just kind of acting like, this is so freaking cool. Oh man, especially when you were, I'll tell you what was the demise of MySpace, and shout out if you guys remember this. And once I get done with this quick little story, we'll officially go into the draft. Because enjoy this side chatter for all it's worth. Because the heart of our show, we're just talking about the entire draft. Now, if somebody want to do me a huge solid, I know on Raw Talk right now, they're basically going through some supplemental joints. If somebody could be kind enough to maybe, open that up, maybe jot down some notes of, some additional names, and then share it with us as we continue into the show, that would be awesome. That way we kind of have like the most complete picture as possible. That way we can definitely try to look out for those that's going to be checking this out for on demand and on the downloads. They can have the most complete draft as possible. So if somebody out there could do that, I'd appreciate that. You'll definitely get a mad shout out tonight. But yeah, show tonight, we're pretty much just going to do draft, and then we're pretty much out of here. That's really it. But yeah, that joint, man, about the what were we talking about just a couple of seconds ago? The whole MySpace. I'll tell you what was the demise of MySpace ultimately is when musicians started to get pretty pissed off at the fact that your average Joes, you, me, anybody could go on their own MySpace profile and they could, remember how you used to be able to load up custom playlist songs, and all you were basically doing was sharing with folks on MySpace what type of music you were into. It was better helping people understand your personality a little bit, and it was a great icebreaker. It really was, especially all the different type of HTML coding that you used to be able to do with MySpace back in the day. If you had the capabilities of learning it, I mean, you didn't have to be a tech savvy nerd or anything like that. You just had to know basic HTML. And if you knew that, oh my God, the way you could just hook your MySpace page up and all of that, I mean, it was awesome back in the day. But the main number one thing that a lot of people used to love about it back then was being able to, do the little music playlists and all of that. And when musicians started to get real salty about their music being shared on those MySpace profiles and everything, that was pretty much the beginning of the end, because then you had them pretty much submitting DCMA violations, copyright claims, and all of that. And eventually the music had got pulled off of people's profiles. I'll never forget, there was some independent jazz musician that I was a big fan of, and it was all because she had did this great rendition of Captain of Her Heart. I don't know if you guys know how that song goes. It's an old school song from back in the day. It's by a band called Double. The name of the song is The Captain of Her Heart. And it's got a nice little R&B vibe to it, but it's mainly a little bit heavy on the jazz side. It's got vocals and all that. Check it out. It's by Double. It's called The Captain of Her Heart. And I remember there was this band many years ago that did their own cover of this. I can't remember the name of the lady that did it, but I really loved it. And I remember I had made that. Like, I never had an issue with anybody's music that I had shared on my MySpace profile. But I found it rather freaking convenient that as soon as I had shared her cover, and I even privately remember that too. Also on MySpace, you used to be able at times to respond, connect directly to your favorite musicians, artists, things of that nature. It was really cool back then. It was very, it was all about the interactions. It was really cool back then. But I remember, I'm pretty sure that musician, that cover band, I'm pretty sure they had submitted some type of a DCMA joint, because the next thing you know, their song was off of my playlist, and then that just began the trickling effect. And ultimately, that's what led MySpace into meeting its demise, FYI. So if you ever wonder, what's going on with MySpace? Why didn't? And it wasn't the same when they tried to have it relaunched. They tried to do that little comeback. It just wasn't the same, because Evolution had pretty much passed them by and all that, as everybody knows. So, but it was funny seeing everybody scrounging around today like, oh my God, what do I do? No Facebook. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh man, Instagram's down too. I can't share my pics. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It was funny seeing a lot of people scrounge around. Good shit. All right, before we officially get into the draft, I want to give a heartfelt, I hate to open up the show on a Debbie Downer. And we actually did not find this out until probably right about the conclusion of the first hour of WWE Raw, going into the second hour. But we definitely, if you are a huge fan of the David Letterman show, you are definitely not gonna like this news here. It's quite sad, honestly. It's quite sad. But long time announcer for the David Letterman show, Alan Kalter, passed away at the age of 78. He was the late show announcer. He had took the job over pretty much around 94, 95. And he pretty much stayed with David Letterman all the way up through Letterman's retirement in 2015. And just that trademark freaking voice that Alan Coulter had, you just know that voice anywhere. The minute that guy just opens his mouth, he could be anywhere in the world, and you just knew exactly who that guy was if you watched enough episodes of Late Show with David Letterman. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 78. As far as how he passed, nothing is known right now. According to Rabbi Joshua Hammerman of the Temple Beth El in Stamford, Connecticut, apparently Coulter had died at Stanford Hospital with his wife and daughter that were by his side. So, you hear that, you go, well, at least he was surrounded by family and everything. Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, the guy was just infamous. I mean, he had, nice little small TV roles that were here and there, including on How I Met Your Mother. He also did quite a few game shows. There was quite a few game shows that he was behind. king of voiceovers, king of freaking voiceovers, radio, television commercials, you name it. He even was the announcer for New York-based television shows. That included To Tell the Truth, the $25,000 Pyramid, Money Maze, the $100,000 Question. He was even the voice for the USA Network for a hot minute. So, I mean, he just, definitely when I was growing up and I was starting to kind of, I'm not saying this just to sound good or anything, like legit. When I was starting to, carve out my identity as far as what I wanted to do career wise, and I really started focusing on, okay, broadcast media and everything, as far as voiceover artists, as far as announcers go, guys that really just stood out to me that I personally felt had a really great golden voice for just about anything. I always felt that Alan Coulter was that guy. I not at the very top of the list, but he was definitely one of those guys that I always looked at and said, man, imagine if you had a voice like that. And just, he definitely was kind of one of those factors that made me want to, hey, see what's going on with this as far as doing voiceover work and stuff like that. So now the family, for those of you that are interested, if maybe you want to kick in a flower basket, a food basket, you want to make some type of a memorial donation, donations are being accepted by the Temple Beth L/Rabbis Mitzvah Fund, Silver Source in Stamford. You can pretty much go with that route. Again, donations can be made to the Temple Beth L Rabbis Mitzvah Fund, Silver Source in Stamford. And I'll actually post that in the chat for you guys, for those of you that's kind of like, wait a minute, how do you spell some of that stuff that you're putting out there, Lee? It's going in the live chat right now. And then for those that's going to be listening to this on demand and on the downloads, I'll have that information be available in the episode description for you guys. All right. But yeah, definitely rest in peace. Honestly, one of my favorite all-time moments from Late Show with David Letterman that had involved Alan Coulter. There was one joint. I can't remember what the Broadway show was, but the setup was awesome because David Letterman, he was just putting over some Broadway little musical show. And you just hear Alan Coulter just out of nowhere, "That's bullshit, Dave. That's bullshit." But obviously they bleeped the shit part out. And you're just like, what the hell? And when Dave is trying to get through the joint, he just, obviously, this is all rehearsed, but the way Dave just sells it, Dave is just like, and he tries to keep talking, and then you just hear Alan, "That's bullshit." And Dave's like, what? Alan, is that you? He's like, "Yes, Dave. I said that's bullshit, and you know it." And he just starts going into this whole spiel about how basically he was shot down for a dancing gig, right? Because he was trying to get an audition for some Broadway joint because he wanted to be a dancer and all that. And they basically had said to him, he's too old. He doesn't really have what it takes. And he was like, "I can dance my ass off. I can shake my ass good, Dave. That's bullshit." And the next thing you know, he just takes off his announcer suit. And he has this hot ass gold silky long sleeve shirt on. And he just starts dancing like, brother actually had moves. And he's just gyrating. He's smacking his ass and everything. And David Letterman he's just selling the freaking moment. He looks so freaking stunned. And that I wouldn't be surprised if that was on the tip of the tongue for a lot of people as far as Alan Coulter moments. So good stuff. Good stuff right there. Rest in peace, Alan Coulter. So again, if you're tuning in, we're now officially going into the talk of the WWE draft. I need somebody to do me a huge favor. Raw Talk is underway right now. If anybody normally checks out Raw Talk, if you could do me a solid, if you can go back, have it playing in the background, maybe take some notes as far as who's part of that supplemental draft there and share it with us, that'd be great. That way we can have the complete picture of the draft, because I'm pretty much only dealing up to what all transpired on Raw tonight, and then that's pretty much it. So again, shout out to somebody that can do that. Appreciate that in advance, because last thing I want to do is be searching online trying to see what's going on. Whether you can do it by checking out Raw Talk, or you follow WWE on their social media pages and you can see the supplemental results that way. You could easily do a copy paste that way, share it with us. Just make sure you mention where your source is, if it's from Raw Talk or if it's from WWE's official website or their official Twitter handle and all of that. Ask you guys on Twitter, because we're doing the poll exclusively on Twitter, what did you think about tonight's WWE Raw? And so far, early results coming in here. Got you guys saying, wow, almost a tie. 44% of you are giving both nights of the WWE draft a thumbs up. You felt that both nights were okay. However, in the lead, top dog right now, 56% of you are giving it a thumbs down. Disappointed. I gave you guys another option as well, because I saw this was picking up a little bit of steam. I gave you a third option, which was wait, GableSteveson. Nobody has selected that. Of course, you know how this show goes. Normally, once I say something like that, somebody goes on ahead, they try to be cute, and then they go on ahead and they actually say a little something, something. So we'll see how that goes. But those are the early results right now. Like I said, and by the way, welcome officially. This is the RCWR show with Lee Sanders for Monday night of October 4th, 2021, covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. We got November coming up, where we're officially going to be celebrating 10 years of doing this craziness for you guys. I always find it interesting that we have so many people that will only come around and cherry pick when they want to talk about certain episodes of WWE Raw, but since 2011, no matter how many other shows we may have switched up on over the years, as far as Monday nights go, since 2011, since the very beginning, our shows have always been in some form on a Monday night. Longtime listeners remember we used to do Mondays, we did Tuesdays, we did Thursdays. Whew. Those days back then, just it was crazy. It was crazy back then. Look, I agree with the top dog right now as far as 56% feeling a little bit disappointed. You know, there really wasn't any movers. There really wasn't any shakers, things of that nature that was going on with this year's draft. And I think a large part, when I just play it back in retrospect, I think a large part of it, honestly, has to do with the fact of the presentation. I mean, look, granted, we got away from the whole Fox executives and the USA executives with the CGI, mascots and all that. We got away from that. That's all cool and everything. The boardroom, the mighty boardroom. Remember that? We thought that was pretty comical as hell and everything. Okay, that's great that we got away from that. I saw some people complaining about, why not just go back to how it was before, where, two wrestlers have fought. A Raw superstar took on a Smackdown superstar or what have you, and whoever won that, they pretty much had got their respected brand, a pick or whatever. I do kind of miss that element to it. I admit that. I love that. I love that feature that they did. The other thing that I think really, so yes, to you, some of you guys that were saying, hey, it would have been nice had they brought that element back. I do agree with that, but I want to add to that. I think what also really would have been good is, not for nothing, but remember the friction that we had in the previous months between Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. And you were just kind of saying, whoa, what's going on here? It kind of seems like Sonya Deville is very interested in some power play moves here. It seems like she wants to be the top dog, maybe running both shows here. Just what's up here? And you saw that friction and you were wondering exactly where exactly was this going? What was the ultimate payoff gonna be for this and everything? And it just all of a sudden got abandoned. Remember that? It just all of a sudden got abandoned. And that was just really, really weird in itself because it never had saw proper resolution. And you're just kind of looking into the crystal ball way back then. You were kind of saying to yourself, okay, are they maybe trying to set us up going into Survivor Series or something along those lines? Now, why am I going on and on and on about that? Connect the dots, people. That friction that we had a couple of months back really would have helped going into part one and two, night 1 and 2 of the WWE draft. Teach its own. I just feel that really would have helped because, man, just what type of diabolical schemes, what type of arrangements, what type of proposals, agreements has Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce made with certain stars to try to align themselves and being in that position of having the superior brand and everything. You never really got that. And then not to mention, you got Survivor Series that's right around the corner and you still don't quite have that whole ultimate, okay, brand. You feel where I'm coming from? We're not quite there right now. So I think when you look at some of those elements, it made the draft for this year feel a little bit lackluster. Yet at the same time, some of the guys and gals that got drafted, some of the names that you heard tonight, you're going, okay, you know what? I'm optimistic. Other names, you just kind of couldn't help but cringe and say, I don't know about that one. So, going into the first round, night 1 that played out on SmackDown. First round, Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, they pretty much stay on Roman Reigns stays on SmackDown. Charlotte Flair got drafted to SmackDown. Yo, I'm honestly okay with Charlotte Flair going to SmackDown. Charlotte Flair has mainly been a Raw girl. When you think WWE Raw, you always think Charlotte Flair. Flair has been a Raw girl for a good chunk of her career. So the fact that we've got this nice little change in pace that's going on here with Charlotte to SmackDown, I'm actually okay with that. And before anybody even puts that report out there, I know that there's something floating around about supposedly Fox executives very high on Charlotte Flair. They wanted Charlotte Flair on SmackDown and everything. I'm not even factoring that in. I'm just strictly looking at, some of these picks, a lot of these picks. I'm strictly just looking at things as far as, okay, how are things playing out for that certain superstar when they were on this show? And then, okay, yeah, is it really a good move that they're going to be going over to this show now? I like the fact that Charlotte Flair is now going to be on the blue brand because when you really take a step back and you really think about it, Charlotte Flair pretty much ran through the gambit on Monday Night Raw. And it was really time to freshen things up for her character and pretty much go to that next phase and everything. So Charlotte Flair to SmackDown, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Monday Night Raw during this first round, they selected Big E and they selected Bianca Bel Air. All right, so they got the WWE champion there in Big E, and they've got the SmackDown Women's champion there in Bianca Bel Air, right? So you see the nice little swap that they essentially did right there in that first round, right? And I tell you what, had I known that champions were going to be on the line, I definitely would have went into this, because not for nothing, but some of my colleagues, they looked at this and were thinking surely the champions were exempt, but the champions were not. So, if I known that, I definitely would have, a little bit more with this. But as far as my picks go, because we went into some picks, what was it, on Wednesday's show? Some of the picks that I had put out there did come to fruition and everything. I must say, definitely a couple of surprises were in there as well. Now, look, as far as Big E going to Monday Night Raw, I think many of us not surprised by that. Many of us kind of felt that was honestly a no-brainer move right there. Personally, I would have loved to, and by the way, full disclosure, all of these draft picks doesn't go into effect until October 22nd. So what does that mean exactly? Any feuds that's currently going on right now on the respected shows, those are going to continue to play out. They're going to get their proper end result. But come October 22nd, as far as, okay, these brands, y'all need to now break off. You have your own separate identities. Once again, this is pretty much it. We ain't going to be seeing you guys mingle anymore, at least not until Survivor Series, right? So October 22nd is when these new rosters will go into effect. Full disclosure for you guys. But Big E, I don't think many of us were surprised by that move whatsoever. Bianca Bel Air going to Monday Night Raw. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Honestly, Bianca Bel Air on Smackdown. For me, I honestly, same thing with Charlotte. I really felt as though it was so limited as far as Bianca Belair being on SmackDown. It's like, what exactly, and when you really take a step back and think about it, what exactly are we supposed to continue to do here with Bianca Belair? What, are we going to continue to have her face off against, in some form, we're going to have her continue to face off against Zelina, against Carmella, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just starting to get very redundant real quick. And not to mention, I don't know if you guys were kind of thinking this far, but I always felt that as far as Bianca going to SmackDown, I always felt for Bianca it was a case of, okay, let's really carve out her identity more. Let's really flush out her character even more. And then that way, when she's been built up properly, then we can easily circle on back and we can reinsert her on the red brand. That's how I always felt. And I kind of like the fact that, all right, now that it's pretty much come full circle for Bianca, she's gotten right, she's homed up, she's better groomed. Okay, let's have her go back to the red brand. Don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Round 2, again, all of these results had played out on SmackDown Friday night. Round 2, SmackDown went with Drew McIntyre. We pretty much called that. We pretty much said, look, Drew McIntyre, it's time. You got to put Drew on the blue brand. If there's ever that one true legit antagonist, that one guy that probably has a legit shot there of maybe taking the title off of Roman Reigns, a good top baby face, Drew McIntyre is probably that guy. Now remember, keeping it consistent here, that wasn't always the case with me. Remember, I always told you guys, hey, maybe going into next year's WrestleMania, maybe it could be Big E taking on Roman Reigns for that Universal Championship. Remember that? I always went in that direction. I also said, let's not forget, we got Finn Balor that's running around. Whoa, we've also got Brock Lesnar. How is all of that gonna play itself out here, right? That's what I always had brought up to you guys. So the fact that we got such a nice curveball there with Big E going for the WWE Championship, you're just looking at that whole thing just going, whoa, okay. But then we still have Drew McIntyre in the mix. And remember that story arc there with Lashley. As long as Lashley was the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre could never get a shot at that title. Well, now that we've got Lashley no longer as champion, but remember what I said to you guys? I said, man, this is kind of weird. It's like, we were here like last Monday, and I said to you guys, so weird that we had McIntyre pointing the sword there at Lashley to end the show. Did WWE essentially kind of spoil the results there of what the future may lie in store for McIntyre? And I told you guys, that just kind of really rubbed me the wrong way. But then we go into the draft, and SmackDown gets Drew McIntyre. McIntyre going to SmackDown. Look, he's got a great look. And the one thing that we've learned about Fox like those big, larger than life type of athletes. because after all, they're all about sports. Remember, at one point they were about the MMA and all of that. So to have a big, good-looking, athletic son of a bitch like Drew McIntyre, that's definitely, I think, going to continue to help strengthen the blue brand even more, personally. And I mean, look, to eventually get the McIntyre Roman Reigns feud, eventually it's going to happen. It's actually going to be pretty good. It's actually going to be pretty good. So I'm actually okay with that. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods going to SmackDown doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me whatsoever. I mean, everything that these guys have been doing has been relatively solid. And look, not for nothing, but when Kofi Kingston had became WWE champion, it happened on the blue brand. So can't help but wonder, can lightning strike yet again for Kofi Kingston on the blue brand? Stranger and cooler things has happened, right? Monday Night Raw during that second round, they are keeping the Raw Tag Champions there in RK Bro. Not surprised by that. Not surprised by that whatsoever. I didn't really see those guys going anywhere. They picked up Edge. Edge has always been, when you really stop and think about it, Edge has, and he said this in his promo on Friday Night SmackDown, he's pretty much always been a SmackDown guy. So the fact that Edge is coming to the red brand, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. By the way, I like how some folks that are AEW fans, they were rallying behind, I can't remember which wrestler it was. I don't think it was MJF. I'd be shocked if it was MJF, but somebody said, actually, no, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, it actually could have been MJF, but there was something along the lines of WWE keeps going with legends. They keep, basically they keep going with the old farts. It might have been Kenny Omega that actually said that. I remember MJF saying something along the lines of, yeah, keep sending us guys from VKM, because the only name that's really going to matter is, or the only initials that's really going to matter is MJF. That's what MJF had said. But no, I'm pretty sure it was Kenny Omega that said something along those lines. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, I respect what Omega's saying right here, but come on now, let's not bullshit a bullshitter. Y'all got Sting, y'all got Arn Anderson, y'all got Tully Blanchard. Come on, you got Chris Jericho. Come on, do we really need to? Come on, man. Like, we get it. It's about putting your brand over, putting your product over. We get that. We understand the hustle, brother. We get it. But come on, let's not go there. But for WWE Raw to be in this position where they're now gonna have on a regular basis access to Edge, I think honestly it's a really smart move, and I'll explain to you why I think it's a really smart move. Because Raw really needs all the help that it can get, because they've got, number one, that additional hour. And look, you can only bring in Bill Goldberg but so many times. After this Crown Jewel joint, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Bill Goldberg has either one more match or at the most 2 matches left with this current deal. And then that's pretty much it. So it's going to be a case of, all right, so what's going to happen here? And I'm sure WWE will get to that crossroad when they get there with Bill Goldberg. But what do? Do you re-sign Bill Goldberg to a new deal? Especially in hopes of making sure he doesn't go to AEW, right? Do you try to, right? If you even have fear at all, right? It's expensive, but is it cheaper to keep Goldberg rather than lose him to the competition, or what? So you need that star firepower, especially if it's going to be a case where, okay, SmackDown's going to pick up Drew McIntyre. You don't want to load up the show so freaking, because I mean, think about that. You got Drew McIntyre, you got Charlotte Flair, you got Kofi Kingston, you've got Xavier Woods. I mean, that's already loaded as it is. If it would have been a case where Edge would have been able to stay on SmackDown, that just would have been too damn loaded, honestly. So the fact that Edge coming on over to Raw, It's a good move. It's a damn good move. It's a smart move. Round 3, SmackDown went with Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. It is what it is. It is what it is. I have nothing. Look, I'm still trying to figure my way out through this whole Happy Corbin thing, right? That's just me. Riddick Moss now, Madcap Moss, just whatever. Surprising move for me, NXT's Hit Row. NXT's Hit Row. All them guys drafted to SmackDown. Look, I love Hit Row. You're not going to find me saying anything bad whatsoever about Hit Row whatsoever. But I will say this, and to Top Dollar's point, AJ Francis, I got a lot of respect for him. Love that guy. Love that guy. As far as people I like reading tweets from and everything, he seems like a really cool, humble, legit dude. I got nothing but mad respect and props for him. But man, can we at least put Hit Row in a position where they've gotten a couple of takeovers under their belt? For me, this is a very crushing blow to NXT, especially now that NXT is doing this whole 2.0 thing. Hit Row just fits so damn well into that. And that for me, it's wow. You know, if I were to go with a food analogy, I mean, to each its own, but most people like really good barbecue sauce on their ribs. Most people. And I look at Hit Row as that really good bomb barbecue sauce on those ribs. And now, without that barbecue sauce that also has that great seasoning, all you've got is naked, unseasoned ribs. It's like, so what are you going to do with that? That's how it kind of feels right now. I'm just not really sure if that was really a good move. We'll see in due time. We'll see in due time. But I honestly felt that Hit Row should have stayed right where they are. Right where they are. You know, if you ask me, as far as my trepidations, if I have any, in regards to Hit Row, it's simple. Look, let's really take a step back and think about this for a second. And universally speaking as fans, let's really stop and think about this for a second. We've seen how it was when the Street Profits, NXT, and then they came up on the main roster. Some of the stuff got dialed back a little bit. You know exactly what I mean. Some of the stuff got dialed back. So what we've been seeing with Hit Row on NXT, I don't know, man. I don't know how well that's really going to click. Like, for sure, if you were to go to California, yeah, Hit Row, you're fine. You go to Chicago, you're going to go to Philly, you're going to go to, you understand what I'm saying? Like, anywhere up and down on the East Coast, yeah, sure. But when we're talking about going to those southern states, that's where I'm a little bit, you know, look, obviously Atlanta, like, sure, like, no problem whatsoever. And shout out to Wyatt in the chat. He posted us some results for the supplemental draft. Wyatt, I got to put you on the spot. Is that all the names? Is that the complete list from Raw Talk that they did tonight? If you could type up a quick yes or no real quick, I'd appreciate that tremendously. Good lookout. I appreciate that, homie. But I just kind of feel some of the stuff that we've seen with Hit Row is going to get scaled back just a little bit. Now, I think they'll be able to thrive still, but I don't know, man. That just, wow. That fucking quick. We just yoinked them and they were one of the main highlights for NXT. And they were still, okay, all right, Wyatt is saying that's it for the supplemental draft that they did tonight. Thank you, Wyatt, I appreciate that. So we now completely, at least on this night, when we get ready to put this episode out, we've officially now got the complete draft Assuming nothing goes down going into NXT and all that, we now have the complete drafts. We'll be able to get into everything. Special shout out to Wyatt for hooking us up. But you guys get where I'm coming from in regards to Hit Row. I mean, they were in the middle of this great feud with Elgato del Fantasma, which didn't even seem like it was going to its proper conclusion because shit, not for nothing. We recently, now look, again, the rosters aren't going to go into effect until October 22nd. So obviously we're still going to be able to continue to see Hit Row on NXT in the end term. And you just can't help but wonder, okay, well, that being the case, you know, how are we going to put a nice, pretty little ribbon around this Hit Row Phantasma feud? Because on last week's NXT 2.0, that match that, what's her name? Elektra, is it Elektra Lopez? The match that she had with Fab B. Man, I loved it. I loved those girls. They clicked. It was nice. It was nice. I enjoyed that. So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna reach its proper conclusion before Hit Row goes to Smackdown and everything. Yeah, Steve, I know that. I got the results. Steve, I was more interested in the results for the supplemental because Raw Talk revealed they were going into the supplemental. I already know about that pick that you're talking about, Steve. I got all the notes. If you're just saying it just to say it, I hear you, but I got all the results now, especially thanks to Wyatt there. All right, so round 4 from night 1. Let's keep going here. No. We got some more names here for round 3. For round 3, Raw, they're keeping Rhea Ripley, Nikki Cross. They're also keeping Keith Lee. No real shockers right there. No real shockers right there. 4th round, Naomi is staying right where she is on SmackDown. I find that to be very, very interesting given the fact that we saw this stuff that was playing out on TV between Naomi and Sonya Deville. Naomi won in that match. Sonya Deville saying, nah, honey child, it ain't happening. Fucking hit the bricks. You're out of here, right? So we see this great animosity here that's been continuing to build between Naomi and Sonya Deville. And you just can't help but wonder here, what's the end result to this? Because is the ultimate payoff going to be Naomi getting physical with Sonya Deville, that it ultimately leads to Sonya Deville wanting some type of a match with Naomi? Or are we going to finally see a case right here where fans have been wanting this for a long time? I've even seen the buzz on social media where fans have been saying, yo, Naomi, Bloodline, let's freaking go there already. And I remember Roman Reigns was recently interviewed about, hey, what's going on with Naomi? Is it a possibility that Naomi could be involved in the Bloodline there? Roman, I remember him saying he loved the idea, you know, and it was just kind of one of those, how could we get to that point was his whole thing. Like, obviously it's there, but how can it be done in such a way? And I get where he was kind of coming from. When you really read in between the lines, how can we do it in a way where it's not rushed? It doesn't feel forced. It's just very organic, right? Obviously, she would be a good fit with that whole Bloodline storyline and all that. So, you know, what's the payoff? Is it just going to be Sonya, Naomi, or is Bloodline going to get involved? And pretty much that's how this kind of gets squashed. What? Right? Because you can look at Naomi staying on SmackDown as kind of a way of Sonya Deville continuing to put her thumb there on Naomi. You can also make an argument that, just saying, it's a crazy far-fetched idea, but you can also bring up a theory of Sonya Deville has actually been doing all of these things to Naomi because she sees the potential in her and feels that over the years, Naomi has gotten complacent. She's just settled on in and just pretty much been phoning it in. And that basically Nah, I've been doing what I've been doing with you to tap into that fire, tap into that passion, tap into that desire you used to have and striving to be the best. Now that I've been able to tap into it, I've been able to bring it back out. You gotta fucking keep that. And it's shit like that that's gonna help you rise to the top in the company, rise to the top in the division, and become a women's champion once again. So you know, is Sonya Deville right? Is she orchestrating this to ultimately set Naomi up for the better? So you kind of got to have all of those ideas running around in your head there when you look at the fact that Naomi staying right where she is on the blue brand. Rey and Dominic Mysterio going to Raw. Okay, so what's going on here? Like, is this a case where I would assume we're going to continue to see Rey and Dominic Mysterio bicker? I would assume, because we saw the bickering that was going on Smackdown, where Dominic is saying to his dad, yo, you've been freaking hammering me. You've been chewing me out as of late. You know, back off. Like, Dominic kind of feels like he's getting to that point. He's ready to become his own man. And as a result of that, he kind of needs for his dad to, you know, step off a little bit. And basically it's like, look, this is my life. This is my career. And, you know, obviously there's going to be some growing lessons, Papa, that I'm going to, whatever he calls them, you know, Big Poppy, whatever the hell he calls him. Well, I hope he doesn't call him Big Poppy. Can we do that over? Can we do that over? It's live, pal. No, we can't. But you get the point that I'm making, right? So what's going to happen right here with freaking, because when you go further into the draft here, remember one of the last things we saw with Dominic, Sami Zayn got the ball rolling with Dominic saying, look, you got all the potential in the world to be a really good superstar, but the sooner you realize that your dad is kind of holding you back, the better. So are we going to see things play out on Raw between father and son, and there's that ultimate betrayal? I've been wanting to see that for the longest. We've been talking about Ray and son splitting and son betraying Ray for the longest, the son turning on Ray. I've been talking about that for the longest, way before any other shows were jumping out there. So hopefully they go in that direction. Otherwise, if it's just going to be we're just drafting them and it's kind of one of those wasted moments. Jeff Hardy going to SmackDown. So down with that. We also got some nice little breaking news that had came about from Raw tonight, where Jeff Hardy, great match that he had with Damian Priest for the United States Championship. Damian Priest retaining. Jeff Hardy afterwards saying, hey, you know, I'm really happy for all the time I've been able to spend here on Raw, you know, with you, the WWE fans and everything. I've had some highs, I've had some lows. And he made the tease basically by going back to SmackDown that we were going to see a new him, that we were going to see a new ego, that we were going to, you know, see something in the coming weeks come to fruition out of him. And, you know, you couldn't help but say, Willow, he's going to freaking bring back the Willow gimmick. And we've never seen the Willow gimmick in WWE. And I know that's something that for years now, he has been trying to see take off for the longest time. It's just all about the right opportunity and everything. So if that's essentially what Jeff Hardy was teasing, that Willow is eventually going to be coming, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And if you guys, look, who isn't a Jeff Hardy fan? But I'm talking specifically to those that, you know, maybe are not that familiar with the Jeff Hardy catalog, and you sadly didn't watch any of the stuff on the independents. You didn't watch any of the stuff in Impact Wrestling when he was doing the Willow gimmick. You're missing out on some good shit. Now's the time to pretty much get caught up in everything. But I personally, I love Jeff Hardy as the Willow character. I do. It's just, not only is it Is it demonic? You know, it's fucking insane. It's a mind tease. Just a psychological warfare that can be played alone with that Willow gimmick. I mean, it just adds a whole new dimension. It adds a whole new psychology. I can't wait to see what Jeff Hardy is going to be able to do with the Willow gimmick. And I'm just curious to know what's going to be that one true defining moment where the Willow character debuts. Like, who's going to bring that out, right? You piss off Bruce Banner enough times, he's going to eventually turn into the Hulk, and he's just going to freaking go ballistic on your ass. We all know this, right? So what's going to be that one moment where, you feel me? I can't wait to see how that's going to play out. Let's see. So we talked about Jeff Hardy. Austin Theory got drafted to Monday Night Raw. Look, good looking kid, phenomenal wrestler. I just hope they can really flesh out the personality a little bit more. Honestly, that's the one. If we could kind of flesh that out a little bit more. And then going into the weekend on Saturday morning, we had got to hear additional draft picks that were announced. This was through Talking Smack. So here's what we got. Raw selected the following: Akira Tozawa, Alpha Academy's Otis and Chad Gable. I'm okay with that. As a matter of fact, I think I encourage that. Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz. I think that's another combo I went with. Dewdrop, Drake Maverick. Not a shocker right there. John Morrison. A little disappointed in that. I was hoping for John Morrison going to SmackDown. It's all right. Nia Jax. The 24/7 champion, Reggie. Or as I like to call him, Flipper. Oh joy, oh joy. R-Truth. Man, that's like no-brainers, right? That's no-brainers. You noticing the trend right here as far as the comedic stuff that's going on? You notice right here that Raw is pretty much keeping the silliness. So those of us that were maybe hoping for, no, this is I can promise you that all the stuff that we have been learning about WWE and this Fox deal, Fox cares greatly about quality. You know, they want that athletic sports entertainment aspect coming from WWE. Fox knows their audience. They know that their sports audience loves the boxing, loves the MMA, loves the NASCAR. They love the football, and they want to try to do their best to capitalize on that. So the fact that silliness, slapstick comedy type of bullshit, the fact that none of that is going to SmackDown, that should tell you all you need to know about WWE trying to continue to do their best to make sure that they're pleasing the hell out of Fox. Right down to the point, you notice when you really take a step back and you think about SmackDown on Fox, a lot of the stuff you get, it's just pretty much, okay, in-ring action, pretty solid promos, but really the in-ring action, that's what's really selling on SmackDown. So those of you that were hoping that maybe Reggie would be off Monday Night Raw, sorry. T-Bar, Zelina Vega coming back to the Red brand. Interesting right there. Interesting move right there. Meanwhile, SmackDown, check this out. SmackDown gets NXT's Aaliyah. Yo, this makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. This makes no sense to me whatsoever because Aaliyah, I mean, this is just so fucking left field. It really is. It's so freaking left field. I've been watching NXT and there's really nothing that has been truly that substantial with Aaliyah on NXT. Nothing to the point that makes you go, you know, that Aaliyah, she'd be pretty good. Nothing to that point. Now, I'm not saying she's bad. I'm not saying she's terrible. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying, like, you talk about just out of nowhere. And you know what? Not for nothing, but maybe the writing was on the wall when you go back to the September 24th episode of SmackDown when Casey Catanzaro and Xia Li were in action. I don't know if you guys remember that episode of SmackDown, but they were in action against Aaliyah and Dakota Kai. So, that and look, when you really go back and you look at some of the other matches that's been playing out on SmackDown, definitely in I would say, God, I'm trying to think if it's maybe June, July, or August, but somewhere around there, Aaliyah I wouldn't be surprised if it might have been as early as June. But Aaliyah has been doing stuff on SmackDown since at least June or July, sporadically. So she must have made. I know some people are going to be looking at that and they're going to be going, "What the fuck? This is stupid. What the hell's going on? Why the hell?" These are the people that you can easily catch that are supposedly saying, "Oh, I watch SmackDown every single week. Yeah, I don't miss an episode of SmackDown." Okay, well, if you don't miss an episode of SmackDown, then this move should definitely make sense, because not for nothing, we're not talking about a case right here where she just made one appearance on SmackDown and it was actually in a dark match, and why the fuck is this person being drafted? Not the case at all. You go back, you look at, and I encourage anybody. I actually remember offhand seeing her sporadically on SmackDown, but I encourage anybody beginning around July, I want to say, go back, check out episodes of SmackDown from that point. And Aaliyah was popping up sporadically since July on SmackDown. So she must have impressed a decent amount of people to get to a point where, okay, let's have her be drafted to, right? So, look, I can't shit on that. I can't, because there's already a track record, that's already there. Now, if you're going to ask me straight up, Lee, what do you think about her in-ring work? So far, still a little bit green in some areas, but I see a lot of promise. I actually see a lot of promise. She's got a great look. It's a nice exotic look that she kind of has about her and everything. It's interesting because here's the one thing, in most cases when we've seen people from NXT get drafted to Raw or SmackDown, they pretty much already have the basic blueprint down. Like everything, all the fundamentals, everything is there. They've got the in-ring promo stuff down, the backstage interview promos and all of that. They got all of that down. They got the in-ring work. They got their gimmick. They've got everything down. When I look specifically at Aaliyah, the one thing that she doesn't have right now is the gimmick, and that still needs a lot of flushing out to do. So her being on the blue brand now, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens to her. But I know some people are going to be looking at that and they're going to be complaining about that one. But like I said, you can easily catch people in a lie. You can pay attention to who's really watching the product and who's not. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about it. Also, Drew Gulak is staying on SmackDown. Oh, no. Drew Gulak's going to SmackDown. He was on Raw for a hot minute. He's going back to SmackDown. Hopefully better days are ahead for him. I was not a fan of seeing him chase after the 24/7 championship. I felt that after he had such a phenomenal match with Daniel Bryan that honestly should have taken his career to that next level. And for whatever respected reason, it didn't. Mace. So look at that. T-Bar and Mace have been broken up. T-Bar is on Raw. Mace is on SmackDown. I don't know, y'all. I don't know about that one. I really, really don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that one. But I'm not confident about that one for either guys. I'm not confident for them going forward. We'll see. They honestly should have stayed together. They honestly should have stayed together. Mansoor, Mustafa Ali, they're now on SmackDown. They're a decent tag team. I don't mind that. Okay. Toni Storm. Toni Storm staying on SmackDown. That's a girl I was really hoping for would actually get the opportunity on Raw, since that's the 3-hour show. They need more, they got more time to kill. I was really hoping that Toni Storm would go there, because not for nothing, but we haven't really seen diddly squat from Toni Storm since we got the graphics and all of that she's coming to SmackDown. And, it's kind of one of those, damn, how many matches has she done so far since she's been part of the Blue brand? And it's only been a handful, sadly. So hopefully, now that we're hearing that Toni Storm is officially part of the Blue brand, I mean, she's always been part of the Blue brand, but you just hope that going forward, here's the thing that's really funny too, when you really kind of take a step back and think about it. I'm happy that Naomi is in the middle of this thing that's going on with Sonya Deville, but you just can't help but wonder if it's maybe the wrong girl that's getting that. If maybe it should actually be Toni Storm and Sonya Deville. Because if anybody truly could have benefited from that angle the most, Toni Storm definitely. Because look, not for nothing, one of the last times that we saw Toni Storm, it was kind of recent. You got to go back September 17th. That's one of the last times that we saw her. Before that, she did something in July. And it was just sporadic appearances in July. And really, May, she was still NXT. It wasn't until July where things had really, with that dark match that she had, taking on, I think it was Tegan Nox. There was like a Raw dark match, I remember, back in July. So she's been sporadic. That's my point. She's been sporadic since she's been part of the Blue brand. So now that they're putting this out there, look, given how they kind of switched a couple of things around and all that, I do feel legit that Toni Storm will now get the opportunity that's coming to her. I really would be shocked if she did not. I really would, especially right now. You still got Bayley out and everything. Notice Bayley, she did not get announced. That's because she's still on IR. Another thing tonight for you Elias fans, and I'm glad that WWE played it like this. You notice tonight and over the weekend, Elias' name not mentioned. That's how you fucking do it. That's how you do it. I thought it made no sense whatsoever that you even mentioned this guy's name in the draft. None of that. If he's saying that Elias is dead, he's not doing that anymore. He's retiring it, and he's pretty much burned the guitar. He's taking off the jeans and cutting the hair and all that other crap. He's basically going to be born again. Okay, if you're going in that direction, we should not have anything to do with this guy in the draft. And if anything, just let this guy pop up randomly on an episode of SmackDown. That's how you do it. And the fact that they did not mention his name at all during this draft, that's very good. Because that was a telling tale in itself as far as whether or not they were going to announce him or whatnot. So all that is what went down over the weekend. So now we're pretty much going into the new set of rounds for Monday Night Raw tonight. Also got a little bit of in-ring action as well. Look, the in-ring action for tonight, not really anything you could really sink your teeth into tonight. I mean, I'm looking at the matches as we speak of what we got tonight. Bear with me a second here. And I'll tell you guys off the break. Let's see. Let me go back because I took all these matches down in my notes here. Where are we? Yeah, I would say maybe about 2. I'm looking at 2 matches so far. I'm still on 2 matches. 2 matches. 3 matches. 3 matches out of what, 8? 3 matches out of 7 was good tonight. 3 matches out of 7 was good tonight. Those matches, yeah, let's talk about some of those matches real quick, and then we'll get back into the draft results. The matches for tonight: United States Championship, Jeff Hardy versus Damian Priest. And, you know, we kind of talked about that a little bit at length and all that, but, I mean, a little short match. You know, those guys went about 7 minutes. Never in question about who was going to win this one, although would have been nice if you wanted to do a nice little twist and put it on Hardy. That would have, but nah, Damian Priest, that's their boy. That's their boy right now, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. Theory attacking Jeff Hardy post-match. Did not see that coming whatsoever. So if Jeff Hardy is essentially going to put this guy over on his way to SmackDown, I mean, I guess that's kind of cool. I'm hoping that maybe as Jeff Hardy is on his way over to the Blue Brand, though, maybe Raw will be in for a treat, and maybe we'll start to see the fragile mind of Jeff Hardy come undone. And maybe as the weeks progress, we get that Willow character that's coming out more and more and more. It just kind of feels to me that Hardy is going to have the ultimate laugh, assuming that Hardy continues on with this theory thing, you know, unless we're going to just break these guys apart. But then WWE's at a very interesting crossroads because, okay, do we do this thing where Jeff Hardy's teasing the Willow gimmick and all that? Do we have him pretty much make Austin Theory be that first victim, right? I'm a little bit concerned about Austin Theory, I got to tell you, because even though he's young, he's got a great look and everything, he could be that EC3. And I'm not talking about the EC3 that's running around talking about the whole control your narrative. No, that EC3 is beast. He could be the EC3 of WWE, and we all know that was a wet fart. So I'm going to be, and I think most of you need to be paying attention to this very, very carefully, the way that they're going to go about Austin Theory here. Because, you know, it'd be really smart if they meant well with what they did with Austin Theory tonight. Have Theory, Hardy, just keep them separated and just let Theory continue to build off of what he did to Hardy this week, and let him fight some jobbers or whatnot. And then if anything, maybe on that final Raw before the official roster splits, maybe then you could have Hardy pop up, get his revenge. Whether or not you want that to be as Willow or not, that remains to be seen. But then you could obviously have Theory come out the very next week and pretty much talk about, you know, that was a sham, you know, that was bogus, whatever. And he can pretty much kind of continue on that way. I don't know. But WWE's kind of, you understand what I'm saying? WWE kind of put themselves tiny little bit in a corner here. Just a little bit. Dana Brooke taking on Shayna Baszler. Baszler continuing to eat jobbers for breakfast. I mean, this was pretty much a squash match. It was over as soon as it pretty much began. She was getting ready to break the arm of Dana Brooke. I know that would have made a lot of people happy, because it would have meant they wouldn't have seen Dana Brooke again on their TV for probably like Groundhog Day. We see Dana Brooke at least once a year, basically. Dewdrop, of all people, Piper Niven, she comes to make the save. Scratching my head on that one. So obviously, Dana Brooke, Shayna Baszler. That was a nice little shindig we got there. A little tease that we got these two girls eventually locking up. But wait, some draft ramifications right here. Draft ramifications. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo versus Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. Humberto Carrillo, Angel Garza picking up the dub. Short match, y'all. Wish I was exaggerating. I mean, these guys barely went about 90 seconds. Very, very short. So damn short These guys didn't even have time to freaking celebrate as Big E's music came on and it interrupted their celebration music. That's how short this damn match was. Yeah. Drew McIntyre comes out, gives Big E his flowers, congratulates him for being champion and everything, but pretty much tells him, hey, look, now that you're the champion, it's no longer Lashley. That means I can hunt for championships again. Brother, I'm eyeballing your title. Not Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode come out. Big Bob and Big Drew, or whatever the hell he's calling himself. Big D and Big E and Big Bob and Little Z and all these damn initials that was floating around in this segment. Literally, it was like, felt like I was watching a nursery rhyme edition of Sesame Street almost. I love the nod. I will say this. I will be complimentary of this. I love the fact that Dolph Ziggler and WWE, I mean, let's really give credit where credit is due. The writers essentially, hey, didn't some stuff go down back in the day involving Big E, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee, and Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre? Didn't some stuff go down here? And I love the fact that they pretty much rewinded it back to 2013 when Big E pretty much made his presence felt to the WWE universe and all of that, and he had aligned himself with he aligned himself there with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee. I love that nice little nod. We were just on this show some weeks back, just going down the history. Matter of fact, it was when Big E won the WWE Championship. We were talking about that period right there. So it's nice to see how everything just strung along there in that nice segment that they did tonight. They also brought up Drew McIntyre. They rewinded it back to 2018, not that long ago. How about that? But they rewinded it back to 2018. Drew, Ziggler, right? All of this pretty much led to a match, a tag match. You know, Drew pretty much, and Big E, they pretty much owning the crap out of Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode. Decent little matchup. I would say it was decent little matchup. Let's see, what else? Women's Tag Team Championship match. Natty, Tamina taking on Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley. Tag champions retaining. Big yawn. Big fucking yawn. Wish I was being crude. Wish I was being a meanie. No. Next up, Goldberg, the Icon. I thought that was for Sting. The Icon, Goldberg, up next. He says, Bobby, God damn it, Bobby, what Bobby did to his son was intentional. And he invites him to come to the ring so he can intentionally break his neck. Lashley comes on out and says, look, what went down with your son, that was a misunderstanding, but not going to be coming down to that ring messing up the suit. Nah, you forget that, brother. It ain't happening. Look, you want to lock it up with me? We going to do our thing at Crown Jewel, but you know what? It ain't going to be any old type of match. We can have ourselves a no-holds-barred match. To which Goldberg says, that's fantastic, because that basically means I can kill you. And, yeah, pretty much after that, Goldberg tells him, you're next, you're dead. Lashley interrupts Goldberg's music and says, yo, hold up a second here. You know, what would you do, Goldberg, if someone came into the ring and was jumping on your back? If somebody jumped you from behind? Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin proceeded to jump on Goldberg. Goldberg made quick work out of them. I think it was Cedric Alexander that jumped on the back of Goldberg. I can't remember now, but he pretty much just shook them off like a tick and then speared the hell out of the other guy, and that pretty much was it. So, by the way, I like how we haven't even gotten that nice WWE.com exclusive interview letting us know what's going on there with the Hurt Business. Are they in fact back together? They worked out their differences. Everything's love and peace again. What's going on right here? New Day took on Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Yeah, believe it or not, Those guys had to lick their wounds because they had a match up next. New Day picking up the dub. Match was about 2 minutes. Extremely short match. You see the trend here tonight? A lot of short matches. Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Bel Air. First time ever. As far as a winner goes, Flair goes for the figure 4, but Bel Air gets a cradle. Bel Air pretty much comes in with the KOD, goes for the cover. It gets interrupted by Becky Lynch as Becky rips Bel Air out of the ring. So Becky's still pretty salty about everything that's been going on between her and Bianca Bel Air over the past couple of weeks. Post-match, turns out Sasha Banks was in the house. Sasha Banks comes in. She attacks Becky from behind. Just mud stomping on her. Put a mud stomping on Bel Air. Does a backstabber to Becky. So Raw ended pretty strong there with the women and everything. So that was kind of a nice little nod that we had that was going on there. Now, let's talk about the rest of the draft results that went down for tonight's Raw. And we'll include that with the supplemental joints that had came in not that long ago during Raw Talk. Round 1 tonight, Becky Lynch, now part officially of Monday Night Raw. Bobby Lashley stays right where he is. So that's good. I was really hoping he was going to SmackDown, though. I got to tell you, I was really hoping for SmackDown. SmackDown, meanwhile, Usos and Sasha Banks. All right, so they're not going anywhere. That's good. Round 2, Monday Night Raw selects Seth freaking Rollins. Seth Rollins on Raw. I wasn't sure, man. I got to tell you, I wasn't quite sure if they were going to go that route, but they did. And newlyweds, I'm happy that the newlyweds get to stay together, man, because that would have been pretty interesting, I have to say, if they would have been on separate shows. And, of course, automatically, the Edge Rollins feud, that continues on. So that's good. So if there's one really good thing you could be, excited about, especially if you haven't been, watching SmackDown, take it from me. If you've been missing some of the stuff that's been going on between Edge and Rollins, it has picked up storyline-wise. It's picked up significantly. And I think the way things are going to be playing out with these guys on Monday Night Raw, I think you guys will definitely, you'll dig it. You'll dig it. You definitely owe it to yourself to check out what went down on SmackDown. It was shades of Steve Austin coming to Brian Pillman's house. Let me put it to you that way. Shades of that almost. See. Damian Priest staying right where he is. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, no shocker right there. SmackDown sticking with King Nakamura, but they're picking up Sheamus. So Sheamus back on the blue brand. That's good. Look, Sheamus, I've told you guys repeatedly, the MVP, when you just go back and you look at just all the great matches that he was having alone in 2021, I kept having him as the MVP, as you guys recall, for many months. Even like late 2020, I was having him as the MVP. In the clutch, I mean, this guy was delivering some bona fide freaking hits. So, Sheamus going to the blue brand. I'm actually excited for the Celtic Warrior and looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do for the blue brand. Whether or not that means championships, world championships in his future, I think he's definitely capable of at least one, maybe 2 more runs. But we'll see how it plays out with the Celtic Warrior. Round 3 for tonight, AJ Styles and Omos selected by Raw. Okay, they're staying right where they are, but they get Kevin Owens back. Honestly, good. Good. This is good. Look, we don't know what's going on with Kevin Owens' contract status right now, and, it's all in the air right now. So I'm okay with Kevin Owens being back to Monday Night Raw. So as long as it means he's going to be presented with better opportunities as far as storylines, because look, some of the stuff that was going on with him on SmackDown, it was just kind of like, he's just there. So if this is part of a master plan in making the reinvestment in Kevin Owens, and hey, no, we want you to stay because look at all of these great things that we did for you, and look at what we'll continue to do for you, continue to do for your family. If this is their way of trying to sweeten the pot for Kevin Owens, bring it. Bring their best. Bring your best presentation that you got, and try to do your best to, because honestly, I was not feeling his run on SmackDown. I wasn't. I was not feeling it. Look, the only thing that really kind of jumps out to me during his run on SmackDown, I didn't mind the stuff with Sami Zayn and the whole conspiracy theory, and I didn't mind that. But I mean, other than that, everything else is pretty much a fog for me when it comes to Kevin Owens on SmackDown. Isn't that sad? I'm sure it's probably a big fog for a lot of people too. Continuing on SmackDown in that round 3, they picked up Shayna Baszler, so that's good. We talked about that with a passion, that Shayna Baszler would do better on the blue brand. So, all right, now we're going to see what happens. But SmackDown also picked up Xia Li. So that right there, I didn't see that one coming. Did not see that one coming whatsoever. But then again, this is another one of those, well, wait a minute, take a step back. Think about the recent episodes of SmackDown. Xia Li did appear on a few, and, so it kind of makes sense when you really kind of stop and think about it there. So Xia Li, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That whole martial arts, MMA background too, and you've got her on Fox. Oh my God, they're going to be able to play off of that big time. So that's good stuff right there. Round 4, Street Profits, Finn Balor coming to Raw. I really hope that Finn Balor on Raw this go round goes over much smoother than the last rodeo. I really, 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 really do. And I hope that in regards to Demon Balor and just everything, I just really hope that the powers that be really get behind Finn Balor, because he is a special kind of athlete, and anything less than what we got of him on SmackDown, that's an insult. It's an insult. It seriously is. So I'm trying to be optimistic, but you guys got to forgive me if there's one name that I'm looking at right now and I'm just really, really concerned. Finn Balor. Because the Demon pretty much had got retired the first rodeo in exchange for Balor Rainbow Colors. Remember that? Balor Rainbow Skittle Colors. That's what it pretty much got traded for. Trade you a Demon for Taste the Rainbow. That's pretty much what went down. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, the fact that we got AJ Styles and Finn Balor. I know for me personally, I know for a lot of you guys too, we kind of saw over the years a little bit of tease there of maybe the club. Is it possible that maybe we could kind of get that between Balor and AJ? Definitely, if you're looking to sell some merch, get those tickets up at the gates. Yeah, I want to sell some good stuff at the house shows there. Something to kind of think about, man. Something to think about. Especially now that you've got New Day essentially over on the blue brand. I mean, you're always going to have New Day merch, both shows regardless. You're always going to, but you feel where I'm coming from? Keep that in the back of your mind. See, SmackDown went with the Raiders. Ricochet seems very promising. Ricochet was somebody I toyed with the idea, maybe have him on SmackDown. I'm very curious to see how that young man goes about things on the blue brand. He has the capabilities of pretty much like Balor. like when Balor was on SmackDown. Ricochet has the capabilities of pretty much going in those footsteps. The question is, will it actually go down that way? Round 5, Raw selects Karrion Kross. No brainer. No brainer right there. Alexa Bliss. SmackDown, meanwhile, they go with Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Good pickup, especially for the tag division. That's a good pickup. And they're keeping Cesaro. Cesaro's another one. This guy, like, he's been all over the place, right? And it just felt like we've seen just about any and everything with Cesaro. Cesaro was one guy I was assuming was definitely going to be going to the red brand, but it seems he's staying right where he is. I really hope that with that King of the Ring tournament that's going to be coming up, if there's anybody I'm eyeing to win the whole thing, Cesaro. I'm telling you guys that right now, Cesaro. Round 6, Raw selects Carmella and GableSteveson. GableSteveson. I saw so many people that were complaining about this. It wasn't even funny. By the way, let's go back to the Twitter poll and let's see what's going on with the new polling results we got here. Still the same. Still the same. We're still holding steady. We've got 56% of the votes coming in that felt that the WWE draft tonight was a disappointment. Meanwhile, 44% felt that both nights were pretty good, that the draft overall was a thumbs up. So that's where we still are for tonight. Meanwhile, a lot of people were complaining about GableSteveson being drafted to Monday Night Raw. A lot of people were saying, how the fuck can this guy be drafted? He hasn't even had a match yet. What the hell? What kind of bullshit is this? WWE is stupid. I mean, they were just saying all kinds of crazy fucking shit. And these are the people that you got to look at particularly. And you know how if you have a dog, you know how your dog, you know, when you're saying certain things to your dog, the dog just kind of tilts its head a little bit. And it's like, what? You know, kind of does one of those type of deals. You gotta look at some of these people kind of sideways and cockeyed when they're saying what they're saying about GableSteveson and everything. Because let me tell you something. From all the stuff that I've seen, been able to learn about GableSteveson and everything, this young man is literally following in the footsteps of Brock Lesnar. Literally. This is a NCAA Division 1 reigning champion. This is a man that, as far as the wrestling goes itself, legit wrestling goes, pure wrestling goes, this is a man that freaking, he knows his shit. He knows his shit. What does Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, what do all of these guys have in common? What do all of these guys have in common? They were involved in the NCAA. Okay? I know we got a lot of guys that sadly, they don't check out NCAA. You guys really should. You really should. Because when you spend the time and the energy to look at what's going on over there, and you combine that with the fact that GableSteveson has been a fan of all things professional wrestling since he was a little kid. This is something that has always been a dream of his to do. Understand something. This man had teams such as the Baltimore Ravens. I can't think of who else, but definitely the Baltimore Ravens. And I know about the Ravens because I'm here in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. And, you know, a lot of times when it comes to football, Redskins, what are you going to do? Yeah, a lot of residents here still call them the Redskins. But you go quickly, well, at least we got the Ravens, right? Because the Ravens are always pretty good. They're always consistent in everything. But you're looking at the fact that GableSteveson turned down these offers to play professional football. All he's wanted to do since he was a little kid was be a pro wrestler. And WWE, before they went about this multi-year deal that they signed with him recently, they actually had signed a NIL deal. Now, for those of you that don't know any of that type of stuff, you don't know the language and all that, basically, they signed a deal with him a separate deal with him to use his name, likeliness, his image. That's basically the deal that they had worked out with him prior to doing the multi-year deal. Oh, let's not also forget Mark Henry. That's another guy that we got to throw in there. He was also into the bodybuilding, as we know, the powerlifting was Mark Henry and all that. All of these guys, when you combine them, these are guys that, how can I say this without, making it sound, these are guys that very quickly have such high IQ for all things physical, mat-based and all of that. Especially when you home in on the Lesnars, the Kurt Angles, the Shelton Benjamins. GableSteveson is part of that same tree. Literally part of that same tree. Now, look, I'm not telling you guys GableSteveson is going to be main eventing a pay-per-view next month. That's not what I'm saying to you guys. Okay? What I'm saying to you guys is WWE would not have moved. And understand something else in regards to WWE. And I'm not defending WWE. I'm just helping you guys connect the dots out of this whole GableSteveson situation here. Brock Lesnar has been courting GableSteveson. My God, I remember being here on this show. Oh, man. Was it 2018? It might have been 2018 or maybe 2019 that I remember being on this show, and Brock Lesnar was down at Minnesota, and he really took a liking to Gable. He really, really liked him, right down to the point, he was teaching him some stuff, some tips, and there's like this infamous picture that's floating around that shows Brock Lesnar in a suit, and he's kind of got his hand over his chest, and his hand is kind of up like this and everything, and he's like literally, you could tell in that picture he's giving advice to Gable, and Gable is you just legit tell how humbled he is and how receptive he is to the information that he's getting from Brock and everything. And so Brock pretty much got the ball rolling. And I'm really glad that Seth Rollins had touched upon that point during the Broken Skull session, which is, and it's true, that Brock doesn't get enough props. You hear so much about some of this other little silly stuff that's going on, or the Brock Lesnar contract and how it's structured and all that, which ain't Brock Lesnar's fault. That's WWE's fault when it's all said and done. But Seth Rollins was very, very matter of fact and giving Brock Lesnar his just due as far as having a deep appreciation for the business, and how Lesnar is one of those rare and few guys that can see the entire picture. You may not understand why Brock is feeling a particular way at that moment, but once you actually take the time out to get to know him and everything, and he opens up, you pretty much understand like the grand scheme. It's like a game of chess, essentially. You may be thinking one move ahead. Brock Lesnar can already see how the game's going to end just off that 1 to 2 freaking moves, basically. So, he's been pretty much courting GableSteveson for a couple of years. And I'm sure that WWE, what do you think? And I'm sure Brock, we got Brock to thank for GableSteveson when it's all said and done. So for everybody that's, jumping on this and taking a massive shit on it and all of that shit, watch. These are going to be the same guys that sadly are going to be eating their own words in a couple of months. So, this kid, he signed this deal. He's down at the Performance Center as we speak. And for them to say, hey, he's coming to Monday Night Raw, he must have quickly been able to adapt to the WWE style as far as, you know, how they like to do things and everything, the conditioning, just everything. He must have been able to really, like a sponge, really been able to adapt, and he is just boom, 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 boom to be able to get this type of an announcement. Look, I'm not seeing this kid, you know, wrestle Big E or wrestle, you know, you understand what I'm saying? I'm not seeing him. When we do finally see this young man come up on the Raw side, you know, I see him starting off pretty freaking small. I can see him maybe doing some stuff with jobbers, enhancement talent, things of that nature. But make no mistake about it, WWE would not jump into the fire like this, not unless certain people high up there felt really, really, really confident with what they were seeing. And when you've got friends, when you've got allies such as a Brock Lesnar and a Triple H, as if you've made your rounds, you checked out some of the recent interviews that GableSteveson has given. You know, when you got two great allies like that, you can really do no wrong. When you got good allies and good mentors like that, you can really, really do no wrong. So everybody just pump the brakes and just really stop and just, you know, I'm having shades of Kurt Angle, and when he, you know, and I remember so many people back then, why is he crazy? What is he thinking? Why is he going into the wrestling? Why is he going into that fake shit? And you know, he just seemed like a natural. It just fits so perfectly. It just fits so freaking perfectly. Could we be looking at the second coming of a Brock Lesnar / Kurt Angle? Look, just some of the stuff that I've seen of GableSteveson, it's very possible. It's very possible, but we'll know in due time. Let's not rush to prejudgment right now. Let's see what the young man can do first, and then kind of go from there. Going with the rest of the draft results here. See. Smackdown picked up Ridge Holland from NXT. Look, impressive dude. He is. He's really impressive. I just don't know if that's really going to be clicking well with the fans there that's checking out the main roster shows on a weekly basis. I just don't know if that's really going to click for them as well. Time will tell. That's an iffy one. If there's anybody on this list so far that I'm really kind of going, you know, I'm just not sure. I want to have optimism, but I'm not quite sure. Finn Balor, back on Raw. Ridge Holland is another one. Sami Zayn staying right where he is. Cool. Now, supplemental draft picks, and we got Wyatt to thank for it as he posted it in the chat here. So shout out to him once again. Let's see, where are we here? Wyatt, I got to backtrack a little bit because we got a couple of comments since then. I'll definitely get to you guys' comments in a hot second here. Okay. Wyatt said that Shotzi Blackheart, Natalya, Jinder Mahal, and Shanky, all of those names are going to SmackDown. So apparently on Raw Talk, these names are going to SmackDown. And Wyatt did say that was it as far as names. Now, Wyatt, if you're still around, bud, I got to put you on the spot one more time. Did they say they were going to follow up with some more names, maybe stretch across NXT programming or on WWE's website, or is this it? Let me know. Also, while I'm in the comment section, let me backtrack and let me read up on a couple of comments here from you guys here. Anthony, what do I think is going to happen to the Raw and SmackDown women's titles? Flair going to the blue brand. That depends. I'm trying to figure out how to answer that, because you have to be more specific, Anthony. You got to be more specific about that question. If you're asking me, what do I see happening, um, short term, what do I see happening? Honestly, with Charlotte Flair going over to the Blue brand, and with that Queen's tournament, that what's it called, the Queen's Crown. I just jotted it down very briefly here. It looks like they're calling it, yeah, I said it right, the Queen's Crown and the King of the Ring. Both of those tournaments are going to be starting this week. Not for nothing, but the Charlotte Flair character gave us a little bit of a what's the right word I want to use here? She gave us a little bit of a preview, if you will. Remember the promo she had cut on Raw a couple of weeks ago where she said something along the lines of, I'm going to be that women's champion that's going to help usher in a new era once again for women's wrestling here in WWE. I'm going to be that pillar. I'm going to be the one that ushers in a new change. And I just kind of feel like in regards to this Queen's Crown tournament, I kind of feel like that's just one of the introductions as far as the grand scheme of probably what's going to be coming about here. Look, with Charlotte Flair going over to Smackdown, we've got girls like Liv Morgan. We've definitely got Naomi. We've got Toni Storm. We've got some really good girls there. We've got Xia Li. We've got Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Knox. We got some really good women right there that are definitely going to be put in a position where, okay, ultimately you're going to be working with a Charlotte Flair, and that rub off is going to trickle down, and this is going to kind of be one of those, okay, who's next, who's ready to step up. And Charlotte Flair is pretty much going to be right there to help usher in the next wave of these already great women that we have. But now it's pretty much about having Charlotte Flair, now be that soundboard launching pad for some of these women that we've seen in NXT. Look at everything that went down there with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and how pretty much, so now it's essentially Charlotte Flair's turn to pretty much do that same thing. So by Charlotte Flair and that and that women's championship that she has, and she's pretty much now over on the Blue brand, there's nothing but great things that's going to be happening for the Blue brand. So if you like the Blue brand, you're very ecstatic that Charlotte Flair is over there, and just some of the names that you've heard so far, you're very excited off of the prospects that's going to be happening in the coming weeks going into the next couple of months. If you're looking at things from what is that? Oh, hang on, guys. I got a spider in here. I hate spiders. Hang on. And if I don't kill this, it's going to drive me insane. Hang on, guys. There's like literally a spider in here. I know you guys are seeing me off the camera, but there's a spider in here. I feel a lot better. Okay, I got the spider. Good. And I apologize if you guys might have seen a little bit of my boxers there. It's okay to break the fourth wall, people. But looking at the Raw side, as far as Becky Lynch, that's an interesting one right there. Because, we got Becky Lynch over there. We've got Bianca Bel Air. Nia Jax is over there as well. I mean, for the most part, it's kind of business as usual when you look at the Raw side. And you really kind of take a step back and really think about it. It's kind of business as usual. Eva Marie didn't even get drafted, right? And I thought for sure Eva Marie was maybe going to get drafted, but she didn't. I just kind of felt that everything with Doudrop, I just kind of felt like, okay, let's do a change of scenery here. I thought for sure maybe she was going to go over to the Blue brand. Carmella now on the Raw brand as well. I don't know. For me, it just kind of feels like business as usual. That's not a bad thing that I'm putting out there either. But, it's kind of one of those. I'm not really sure what to make for the Raw Women's Championship side of things, right? It just kind of feels like, nah, we've got all these really good names that most people know about, they've seen over the years. We're just gonna, right here, we're just gonna stay right here. This is our comfort level. This is pretty much where we're staying. And that just kind of, I don't know if you guys are cool with that, but for me to not really see things truly be shaken up for the women's side of things on Raw just kind of leaves me feeling, right? I mean, obviously it's being spearheaded by Becky Lynch and everything. And, look, if you're a Becky Lynch fan, you're kind of saying, well, look, that's good enough. But I don't know. It feels a little, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little to be determined on that one. I'm a little to be determined. See what else we got here. Mitzvah Fun. Okay, we got that. Wait a minute. Wyatt, I'm sorry. I just saw the additional names here. Hang on. Raw Talk additional picks. Liv Morgan, Dana Brooke, the Dirty Dogs, Veer, Mia Yim, Tia Knox, Alexander, and Benjamin, and The Miz to Raw. So let me repeat that again. Going to Raw is going to be Dana Brooke, the Dirty Dogs, Veer, Mia Yim, Tamina, Tegan Knox, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, and The Miz. They are going to be on Raw. Look, Mia Yim, I really hope that they do something with Mia Yim this go round. Mia Yim could definitely be that next big breakout star on the Raw side of things now that I've heard that. Tegan Knox is another one that could be that next breakout star as well for the Raw side of things. So they have all the tools in the world. So if WWE were to somehow waste the talents of those girls, it'd be a damn shame. So Tegan and Shotzi have been separated that quickly, huh? That's amazing because remember going to SmackDown, Shotzi, Natalya, Jinder, and Shanky. So they essentially broke up Tamina and Natty, right? I mean, might as well. It pretty much had ran its course, but I'm mostly surprised at the fact that Shotzi and Tegan were broken up. They weren't even a tag team that long. So wow, that's pretty amazing right there. Yeah, and Wyatt is saying that's it. He's not hearing anything else. Okay, cool. I wonder what they're gonna do with Asuka. Me too, brother. I'm wondering the same thing as far as what they're gonna do with Asuka. I'm literally wondering the same thing. I mean, look, she deserves the time away right now because she was running pretty damn hard, especially at the start of that pandemic. She was definitely that MVP. She was very clutch. She had some memorable, funny segments and all of that. She deserves this nice little resting period right now. I do miss her, though. I definitely do miss her. If you were to ask me which brand would probably... Personally, I want to see a change of pace there for Asuka. I would love to see Asuka go to the blue brand. That's just me personally, but I have a feeling Raw is pretty much where she's going to stay. Although I got to say, man, Xia Li, Asuka, one-on-one, that would be a pretty damn good matchup. I would definitely love to see that, but I don't think we're going to get that, sadly. I don't think we're going to get that. So that is the complete WWE draft. I know most shows had went one night, 2 nights, and my whole thing was one night, right? Like, let's just do one night. Like, so that's cool. I see early reviews are coming in right now for the Sopranos. What is that? Saints of Newark, whatever the hell that thing is. Reviews are kind of mixed right now. I was asking Eddie Trunk of that metal show and all that. I was asking him because he said he saw it and he wasn't impressed. And remember, he's from I think he's from New Jersey, and I was like, it was that bad, huh, Eddie? And a lot of people are just kind of on the fence about that one right now. A lot of people are kind of saying the same thing. You mainly see it because if you were a fan of Sopranos, just the fact that Sopranos is attached to the name of this movie, and like that's it. But it's getting mixed reviews so far. So I came this close to actually spending the $15 for HBO Max to check it out. But hell, even some of the folks that I respect, fellow colleagues of mine, friends of mine in the podcasting world, even some of them are kind of like, ugh. So I don't know if I'm going to see it. I'll let you guys know if I do end up checking it out, because if I do end up checking it out, I'll definitely put out a review for it and let you guys know what I think about it and everything. I do see some AEW dark results that I want to share with you guys. I'll try not to spoil it for you guys here, but bear with me a second here, because I know some of you guys probably didn't get around to it. So let me just... Where is AEW? Where is AEW Dark? Hang on here. Because it was AEW. No, it was Dark Elevation. It was Dark Elevation. That was Monday night. So bear with me a second here. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. Here's your matches for this week's AEW Dark Elevation. Emi Sakura face Sky Blue. Emi Sakura picking up the W via pinfall. Daniel Garcia and 2.0, they were in action against who they defeat here? Hang on. Shane Steveson, Justin Carino, and One Man Thrill Ride. Your winners of that was Daniel Garcia and 2.0. Wardlow and Sean Spears were in action against Marco Stunt and Fuego del Sol. Wardlow and Sean Spears picking up the victory via pinfall. Lance Archer took on Luis Bruno. Archer picking up the victory via pinfall. Abaddon face Davini. Maybe it's Divine. It's got to be Divine. Abaddon picking up the victory via pinfall. Santana and Ortiz took on Arbion and Kodama. Santana and Ortiz picking up that victory via pinfall. Chris Statlander faced B3CCA. God damn, what is going on here, man? Statlander picking up the victory via pinfall. B3CCA? Okay, now I gotta watch Dark Elevation, because I need to know what's going on with that B3CCA. I gotta know what's going on with that. The Acclaimed defeated the team of Colin Delaney and Cheech. FTR defeated Zach Nystrom and Elijah Dean. Sonny Kiss defeated KM via pinfall. And that pretty much was it for AEW Dark Elevation for this week. So not too shabby, of results here. By the way, I did see what was going on with the AEW ratings for this week. I see that Dynamite did pretty good once again. They were 1 point something million, so that's pretty good. The Roads to the Top show did not do that well. If you want to consider not well, they pretty much did 422,000 viewers. So just think about that. You had over 1 million folks that pretty much were there for your Dynamite, and your carryover was essentially 422,000. So you couldn't even get at least half. I'm very curious to see, now that the first episode is out and about, I'm very curious to see how the second episode does and whether or not they're either going to be able to build, maintain, or if there's going to continue to be a decline. Because if the decline, look, I'm going to tell you guys straight up. If Roads to the Top can maintain somewhere between 300,000 to, I would say, I'm being realistic, if they can somehow keep about 300,000 to about 500,000, I can definitely see the show continuing on. I can definitely, as far as a second season goes and all that, I can definitely see the show continue on. But if those numbers continue to dip, I don't know, y'all. That could be pretty. TNT might not like that, and they may pull the plug. It's very well possible that, honestly, when you really kind of, what time does it come on again? It's coming on at 10 p.m., right? So I mean, 10 p.m. That's a pretty good spot. That's a pretty good spot to be in. 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. What's on TV on Wednesday nights anyway? I mean, we already know Thursday nights you don't want to be, because that's pretty much Law and Order night. So you don't want to be on that. So is it possible that Rose to the Top could maybe move to a different day and time? It's possible, but then what's going to be the lead in? That's the main question. I think it's smart having it on right after Dynamite, because you want to capitalize. So, I mean, I think the placement and all of that is just right. If anything, maybe I'm just trying to figure out more that could be done to try to help boost the numbers for that show. I would say, if anything, I've been saying it repeatedly, cross branding. You got to continue to do the cross branding. You got to continue to, go on other Turner affiliated networks, and definitely not only put Dynamite over, but put that show over. Definitely wouldn't hurt doing interviews for the show as well. That definitely would not hurt, but 422,000 on a Wednesday night, cable, 10 p.m. Eastern. That's not too shabby, but I just don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about those numbers going forward. I think week 2 and 3 is going to be the telling tale as far as how that show may do in the very near future. So, don't be surprised if the numbers, I'm just saying, if the numbers do continue to go lower, don't be too surprised if maybe that show gets maybe sent to TBS, because that could definitely possibly happen, right? Before the show just gets totally axed, don't be too surprised if maybe they just have that go to TBS, and pretty much once Dynamite is over at 10 p.m., as far as new original programming on TBS, boom, go right there. Maybe it might do better on TBS. Have to wait and see. Then again, it could be the same. It could definitely be the same. Have to wait and see. I saw Rampage's numbers as well. Rampage, that wasn't really too good. Yeah, that Rampage numbers wasn't really that good, and that was night 2 of the Grand Slam, if I'm not mistaken. That was night 2. So my mind is starting to become kind of a blur after a while, because I'll tell you what, when I did the Rampage 2-hour live coverage and review over on the 401 Mania site, I mean, I was happy that the 2 hours had went by so quick, but I did not finally have the review up until about maybe 12:15ish in the morning. I was so happy to just roll over and go to sleep, because I had to do work the next day. So I was happy to just, look, if we're going to be doing 2-hour Rampages once in a blue moon, I'm down with that. But yeah, Friday night's Rampage, Grand Slam, night 2, as far as what's being put out there in the news outlets. Oh, the downward spiral of the record low viewership continues. And, I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. I don't think you guys should be hitting the panic button as well. I mean, look, viewership went down by 2.8%, so almost by 3% compared to last week's episode. So, I mean, you hear that and it's kind of like, okay. Actually, yeah, now that it's coming back to me, actually, bear with me a second here, guys. Bear with me a second here. Because I'm getting my nights mixed up. I keep thinking that this past Friday's Rampage, I keep thinking that was a 2-hour show, and I don't think it was actually. So hang on a second here. Because all I got to do is just look up my review that I did for Friday's Rampage. I kind of feel as though I was in and out, and it was actually only 3 matches, and I'm like 90% certain now that it was just 3 matches that happened this past Friday. So bear with me a second here, because I'm literally on the 411 site right now, and there's my review. All right, let me just look at my review here. And let me see. Yeah, my bad, guys. It's coming back to me. Yeah, that was just 3 matches. So the previous week was, so yeah, it looks like it did not too bad. It did about 622,000. So this also marks the 6th consecutive week that Rampage's average viewership turned in a record low in the series' young history. I mean, okay, I guess, right? I guess. Fast national data on Saturday suggested the show was headed for another record low as the Rampage episode scored 594,000 viewers in the overnight rating. Meanwhile, Friday Night Smackdown, they did about 2,252,000. 809,000 of that was in the 18 to 49 demo for a .62 for night 1 of the draft, up a little over 5%. So I mean, not too shabby. I still think that what Rampage is able to do so far, that's pretty good. Rampage has nothing to be ashamed of. If you're AEW, you're okay with those numbers. You honestly are, because you're talking about a Friday night and you're talking about cable. And if you can even continue to be in the top 10, which this past Rampage's episode was, but you wouldn't know that because a lot of the sites that have been reporting on this, they've pretty much just been going all doom and gloom and everything. But when you're continuing to be in the, top number of spots there for cable of the night, and you're putting in those type of numbers, look, as far as now that we're really starting to settle in, as far as Rampage cracking 1 million, like, look, folks, that's not going to happen. Hate to burst that bubble. That's not going to happen. If you're lucky, Rampage is maybe once in a blue moon. Maybe they might crack 800,000. But the new norm is pretty much going to be anywhere, I think, between 550,000 to about 700 tops. I think that's just going to continue to be the new norm. I wouldn't be fretting over these numbers. For me, I think caution needs to start being shown to AEW when they are below that range that I just mentioned. When they are below that, when you can't even, when you're getting under 550,000 and it keeps declining, that's when it's time to hit that panic button and kind of go, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because this isn't really looking good. But until then, for a Friday night and all that, like, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. And I'm really saying this not just to the AEW diehards. I'm saying this to just fans in general. Like, don't believe all the hype that you see that's running around and the reports that's being put out there about doom and gloom and all of that, because it's not the case. Should there be a little bit of concern? A little bit, definitely a little bit. There should be some caution, but it's not time to hit the red alert button just yet and have your shields up. A little Star Trek reference. It's not time for that just yet. Other than that, let's go ahead. Let's take a fork in it. We can call this DONE done, because we've been on the air now for almost about 2 hours, 10 minutes. I told you guys we pretty much were just going to do a big bulk of the show. We're pretty much just going to do the draft, and that's pretty much it. So programming notes for this week. So Tuesday, you guys will get a new NWA Power. So tune in for that. That's going to be pretty solid. Wednesday, I'm actually going to take the night off. Long story short, really have not been able to spend time with the wifey between the jobs, the shows. We were trying so hard to catch up this past weekend, and my job actually threw me a curveball because I didn't know it until I saw my schedule late Friday going into Saturday. But my job actually needed me to work Sunday. And Sunday is, that's like, it's literally holy day in the Sanders household, because that's the time that no matter what, husband and wife, rest of the family, we can catch up with each other, and, we can spend some quality time and everything. And sadly, all last week, it was like passing ships for me and the missus and the rest of the family. So Wednesday, I'm just going to take that day to myself, recharge the batteries, enjoy time with the wifey and the family. And so Wednesday, we're taking that off. So as far as your next show after that, that's pretty much going to be it. So after Tuesday, we'll be doing NWA Power. That's pretty much going to be it. Patreon members, we'll definitely fire up something for you guys this weekend to kick off the month of October. And then don't forget, I'm doing the Jericho Cruise in a couple of weeks. Matter of fact, October 21st is pretty much when everything begins. So, I was kind of debating when to take that little bit of a break. I was debating whether or not take a day off this week or just suck it up and try to, go into the week of the cruise. I'm going to go on ahead because we've been at it pretty hard since the wedding. We've been at it pretty hard putting the shows out, not really taking any time off here and there. So, yeah, that's how we're going to be doing the programming for this week. Of course, if something big, breaking, developing happens, I will definitely do something. But assuming everything is going to be pretty much relatively quiet, of course, you can definitely stay connected to me on social media, because I'll definitely be posting some stuff, as far as what I think about the shows. A new AEW Rampage as far as live coverage and reviews for this Friday. I'll definitely still be doing that. I'm just not doing a Wednesday show. That's all. So hopefully you guys understand. Yeah. And other than that, I got a fun poll up on YouTube. Go check it out. It's under the communities tab. And it was kind of a spur of the moment. I just happened to have been up early Monday morning, and I was watching vintage episodes of The Rockford Files starring James Garner. And it just brought an interesting question to my mind, which was, okay, who's better? I was like, who's better? Frickin' Jim Rockford from The Rockford Files, or Frank Cannon from the TV show Cannon? So I put the question out there, and it's just been giving me a chuckle to see the results so far, where a majority of the folks, well, I won't put that out there if you guys didn't vote yet, but interesting polling results so far. So if you know your nostalgia, your vintage TV shows, go over and cast your vote on that. And if you want to maybe add some additional comments to that, you can definitely go there. But I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like either going with Rockford, you're going with Cannon, or your third option is, I think it's a tie. And then there's another option. I don't know what you're talking about, right? That's another option as well. But check that out. That's kind of funny. Once again, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. And as I always tell folks that check out the shows and they want to know how they can help out, help the team spread the word about the shows, I always say, hit the like, definitely subscribe. That spreads the word. The more people that hit that like button, the more it becomes recommended for other folks to check out. So, we occasionally get a dislike bot. And I don't know if this is somebody that just does the dislike bot just to be, but that, they think they're hurting, but that actually helps the channel because YouTube is actually paying attention, particularly to all the data that it's collecting. Not to mention, they always do a phenomenal job auditing and determining, what's real likes, what's fake dislikes, and they audit. It takes them a couple of hours, but I love that part about YouTube. We only stream to Twitch this week to make up for the fact that Facebook, as far as I know, is still having issues. I'm definitely assuming that by next week, there's not going to be any issues as far as Facebook goes. So to those of you that's going to be watching this on demand via Twitch, please note, we normally don't stream the shows on Twitch. So you want to be going to YouTube and the other outlets in the near future because, Twitch is pretty much ghost town these days. That's going to do it, guys. I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will catch you guys next go round. For those of you who are NWA coverage this Tuesday night. Otherwise, I will catch you guys next week for your next edition of the RCWR show, which is going to be going down on Monday night, October the 11th. Be safe and be kind to one another.